Isn't that a lovely, grand brick home there? It's quite impressive, huh? Well, it's not only impressive, but that house is very historic. It's now an antiques place. I guess the family lives above, and then they have their antique store below. But Goodrich, Mr. Goodrich, he and his wife, they originally had this place over here. We're in Milton, Wisconsin. That thing was built in well, I didn't get the exact date. 50 something? I think 54. Well, what it was a place where they had like 20 or 30 stagecoaches come through, and it was a hotel thing on the bottom, and then they had the rooms up above, and then I think a few years later they built the top row of rooms. But that first, there was 5 sections of stores, as all the way to the right that you see. Only one of them survives. That's the one that's painted. Well, it's the one that looks like the old building. They tried to recreate the other ones over there, but those were little shops, and then other apartments were up above those things there. But what makes this place so unique, they have the museum, of course, in there, and you get to see the inn of how it once was, how people lived. But this little log cabin in the back, that's the thing that really, well, it's really quite moving, because if you're familiar with Harriet Tubman, anybody that's been through American history in school knows Harriet Tubman was one of the slaves that helped other slaves escape and have freedom in the northern states and Canada. This place here in Milton was one of the stops on the Underground Railroad on the way north up to Canada. That little cabin in there, what they have is, well, it was a trapdoor. So in the trapdoor, it's a tunnel that leads from that cabin all the way to the basement of this house here, of the inn. And they would hide the slaves in there, the ones that were escaping, and until they had a wagon or some other means of transportation to get them to the next stop. And what's interesting, in the United States, there's very, very few of anything like that survives. So this is quite historic. You know, for years I've always driven past that and wanted to go see it. You know what? I waited a long time, but it was worth it. And the fella that did the tour, he could also pose as Santa Claus. He looks like Santa Claus himself. He was full of information. But it's just another one of my bucket list things to do, and Carlos and I did this today. I want to recommend it. The Milton House in Milton, Wisconsin.